Okay. Before we have our quiet time, let's all get on the same page. If you're reading from the Sparkly Book, it's page 431, the first full paragraph. In the second edition, it's page 379, paragraph 6. In the first edition, it's page 354, the first full paragraph. If you're reading from the JCIM, it's page 180, the second full paragraph. And if you're reading from the CIMS edition, it's page 362, paragraph 29. Okay. Let's take a few moments to be quiet together. Good evening. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. We've talked about the fact that the meaning of the Christmas message is embodied in the holy instant. Now, what I want to make clear is that the meaning of Christmas is the leading edge of an event, the trailing edge of which is Easter. Christmas and Easter are the front and the back of a single coin, or a single wholeness. Easter evidenced is transformation, regeneration, and redemption. Ending an experience of mortality that, or the undoing of which, was Christmas. My gift to everyone was not a life for you to stand in awe of, but rather a life in which you found yourself, and in which you allowed yourself to be transformed because you had justification for allowing the transformation and chose for it. You were not meant to stand back in awe of an event, a lifetime. You were to become and are to become what I'm going to call enactments of that life. Because I was here to tell you, you are my brothers and you are my sisters, and we have the same Father, and you are not a mortal living out or dying out mortality. You see? And that is the point right now. Now, we read last week, each instant that we, you and I, spend together, especially directly within yourselves, each instant that we spend together will teach you that this goal is possible. What goal is it referring to? The goal of holiness, the transformative effect of the holy instant that discloses to you at an experiential level that you are holy like me. The belief that you are not is what has caused you to experience holiness and the kingdom of heaven as an experience of mortality, in which you are guilty and must be punished for being sourceless, at least absent of any divine source. You see? So each instant that we spend together will teach you that this goal, the experience of holiness, is possible. The experience of holiness, not the idea of holiness, not the thoughts about holiness, but the experience of holiness is possible. Each instant that we spend together will strengthen your desire to reach it. Every instant we don't spend together will not strengthen your desire to reach it, but will cause you to be distracted from it and caught up in a devotion to reaction, fear, and the attempt to overcome what will kill you. Simple. And in your desire lies its accomplishment. Why? Because, continuing, your desire is now in complete accord with all the powers of the Holy Spirit's will. You see? When you abandon attempting to be in charge of things yourself, when you abandon trying to direct the course of events, and you shut up, you become still, and you become curious. You bring your attention to wanting to know the truth. Then you are in complete accord with the Father's will. You're in complete accord with your holiness. You're in complete accord with the Holy Spirit, which is nothing more than your right mind, which has been held in trust while you dally with being an ego. No little faltering footsteps that you may take can separate your desire from His will and from His strength. And this is important, I hold your hand. As surely as you agreed to take each other's. The holy relationship is you joining with another from the Father's point of view. You joining with me. You joining with the Holy Spirit. You joining with the Father. In other words, you're taking my hand, the Father's hand, the Holy Spirit's hand. Allows you to take your brother's hand in a truly meaningful, transformational, healing way that helps break the dream, the mutual ignorance that everybody is joined together in because they've said they would rather do everything themselves. They would rather say what everything meant. They would rather be independent and separate from their source, the Father. You will not separate. For I stand with you and walk with you in your advance to truth. And where we go, we carry God with us. Do you want to be alone? You're not. Do you want to be alone? You don't have to be. I am with you. And when you dare that, to let that be a fact in your conscious awareness, and you reach out to me and I answer you, you know you're not alone. And if you're not alone, and you are joined with the Holy Son of God, and the Holy Son of God that you're joined with is telling you that you are the Holy Son of God, or the Holy Daughter of God, you are not only in good company, you are in transformational company. That is significant. And that is enough for you to be willing to risk the chance that it's true. Because if you risk the chance that it's true, it certainly won't make things worse. You're already experiencing the human condition, mortality. What could get worse than that? There's absolutely no justification for not listening to me when I say, you are my brother. You are my sister. All of you are my siblings, if you will. A terrible sounding word. But we are brothers and sisters. Family. Absolutely divine. And it is our birthright to be experiencing our Father's perspective and not suffering sin, sickness, and death. Now, you must remember that the holy instant is made to work. It's not made to fail. And so it's the one thing that you can dare to lean into, to give your weight to give up to, yield to. You see? Now remember, there's no way to do this all by yourself, with a personal, private intent of your own. In order to have the experience, you must join with me, or you must join with the Holy Spirit. You must reach out beyond your present sense of yourself, and you must shut up your own agendas. You must dare to really join. Not intellectually join, because in it lies your salvation. Joining is your salvation. In your relationship, you have joined with me in your holy relationship that you're engaged in, where you've decided that you want to know the truth about the one you're in relationship with from the Father's perspective. In your relationship, you have joined with me in bringing heaven to the Son of God who hid in darkness. Now, it's happened sort of in two stages. You bring heaven to the Son of God who hid in darkness. You. When you say, Father, what is the truth here? When you say, Holy Spirit, what is the truth here? When you turn to me and say, what are you here to tell me? You are ceasing to hide in darkness. You are desiring to come where the light, where vision, where understanding can happen. Then, when that revelation occurs, when that conscious awareness of truth occurs, about what? About what you asked to know about your brother or sister, the one you're desiring to be in holy relationship with. When you ask for the light to be brought to you so you can give it to your sister or brother, and you give it, your sister or brother is also blessed. Both of you are blessed together. And that's the key. The key, like you put in a lock to unlock. You see? It takes two. It takes you and one whom you, more than anything else, desire to have a true experience of. A true experience provided to you by what? Your Father, the Holy Spirit, the Christ. You have been willing to bring the darkness to light, yours, and this willingness has given strength to everyone who would remain in darkness. You see, you're bringing your darkness to the light. Doesn't just illumine you, because your reason for doing it was your brother in the first place, so that you could know the truth and thereby automatically extend the light to your brother or sister, and thereby strengthen him or her in his or her conscious experience of holiness. You see? When you withdraw from the mutual agreements about the human condition and the state of being called mortality, when you withdraw from that, you weaken the mutual agreements that everyone else are involved in regarding their mortality and their bondage to their mutual agreements. It's a gift. Those who would see will see. The gift you bring will be received by those who are willing to receive it. What does that mean? It means that those who are not willing to receive it will not receive it. So it's not up to you to determine where your gift is to be effective. It's only necessary for you to arrive at a point where giving the gift, making the gift, is more important than anything else to you, whether it's received or not. Be careful. Because if you insist that your gift of the conscious awareness of holiness must be received by someone you have designated, and it's not received because that one is still willfully engaged in being mortal, you are likely to be willing to abandon your intent to know the truth and block the influx of inspiration that reveals the truth to you, whether what you're seeing the truth about will accept it or recognize it or not. You, by virtue of vision with a capital V, become a teacher. And you teach by communicating the truth and behaving as though the truth is true. But you cannot designate who your students are. You see, listening for the Father, yielding to the Father, and letting His perspective infill you happens or succeeds because you have abandoned the intent to be in charge. You see, it's when you abandon the attempt to be in charge and yield to the Father that the influx of truth comes. And then you spontaneously give it. If you attempt to determine who the student is and what the student must learn, by virtue of what's been revealed to you, you will have stepped back from the position you stepped into when you said, I'm going to engage in the holy instant. You step out of the holy instant and you start being in charge again, and it will not work. Now, you may be someone's teacher. And then a point will be arrived at where you will no longer be the one to be the teacher because someone else, specifically present for the one you were a teacher to, will take over. Because the lesson will be more effectively delivered. The vision that the one needing to learn needs will be more effective coming from another, or a circumstance will. So be careful, because engaging in the holy instant and letting yourself be infilled with the Father's perspective has absolutely nothing to do with being in charge, being able to determine what is true, what is not, what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done. When you move into that space of joining with the Holy Spirit or the Father, you have moved into a place that is your natural state of being, which is one of being pure conscious awareness, the presence of attention, not the presence of assertion. And as the presence of attention, learning, being fully aware of what the truth is, so that you're not confused and you no longer convey confusion in your relationship with the one you're in a holy relationship with. You see, it's difficult to lay hold on that or allow it to be, because it seems to give you no credit. But who needs credit when he's experiencing his holiness, when he's or she is experiencing the kingdom of heaven, where before it was a material universe, where sin, disease, and death were inevitable for everything? Those who would see, when you make the gift, will see, and they will join with me in carrying their light into the darkness, when the darkness of them in them is offered to the light and is removed forever. You see, when the darkness in them is offered to the light, when the darkness in them is offered to the light by them, that's the part you can't do. But you can bring the light that illuminates and transforms the darkness. That's your job. That's your fulfillment. That's the meaning of your being. That's your part in the Christmas, Easter story, movement. My need for you, joined with me in the holy light of your relationship, your holy relationship, is your need for salvation. You see, here's the two sides of the coin again. My need for you is your need for salvation. Because together we constitute the undoing of illusion, and both of us are needed to participate together. And so we are together and always have been, but you have been convinced that you're just a mortal in a material universe. And you've had no justification for abandoning such a commitment to such a false belief. And now, what do? I consistently confront you with the truth that you didn't know was the truth. You are my brothers and sisters. You are the holy sons and daughters of God, and it's your birthright to be experiencing the kingdom of heaven right where a material universe seems to be what you're seeing, and you are convinced is what you are seeing. And I say it so that you might have the delightful, wonderful experience of having the scales fall from your eyes so you can see everything as it is. That's the promise of the holy instant. The promise of the holy instant, the promise of Christmas, is Easter. And it doesn't have to be 33 years apart. It can be 1 minute apart. Or if you want to fool around, you could wait until May and say, December was Christmas and May is Easter. And I'm going to do it in a short amount of time. Now, if you want to do that, do that. But you're not going to get my support. The reason for the holy instant, the meaning of Christmas, is Easter. Right now. And any moment you're willing to embrace it. Any minute you're willing not to have any other agenda. Would I not give you what you gave to me? What did I give to you? My attention. Would you not give to me the same, your attention? And by virtue of our having our attention on each other, wake up. For when you joined with each other in the desire to have a holy relationship, you answered me. You answered me. I called. It was called Christmas 2012 years ago. I called it to you because that's my task. My task is to call to you, if it takes an eternity, in order that you hear the truth, let it in, and wake up to who you truly are. You who are now the bringers of salvation have the function of bringing light to darkness. See, that's what you might call the task of the holy relationship. You who are now the bringers of salvation, have the function of bringing light to darkness. You say, Father, I want to experience the light. The influx of light occurs, and your perceptions are transformed, and it's impossible for you to see your brother the way you saw him before. Your vision and awareness of him is now true, and you can't help but treat him as though it is. And so you strengthen him in his capacity to bring darkness to light, or light to the darkness, to bring together the things that release him from bondage to beliefs and ignorance. The darkness in you has been brought to light. Carry it back to darkness from the holy instant to which you brought it. As I've said, when the influx occurs, you can't help but see things in a new way, and you do bring back the light. It's not even a matter of choice. When you see the truth, you say, wow, and you have no chance in that moment to argue with it. It's just unimaginably incredible. And you're moved by it, and your perception is changed forever. We are made whole in our desire to make whole. What you give, you get to keep. Let not time worry you, for all the fear that you experience is really past. It's not present in the holy instant. In the midst of the influx of the conscious awareness of truth, it's not present to be experienced or dealt with. It's the past. It's never present in the now, in the holy instant. Time has been readjusted to help us do together what your separate pasts, you and the one in your holy relationship, would hinder. You have gone past fear, for no two minds can join in the desire for love without love's joining them. You can't desire to experience what love is without love joining you and constituting the transformation of your perception that causes you to see your brother as he truly is, which can find no better definition or description than love. To be approached by someone who sees your perfection and cannot be swayed from that perspective is an incredible experience of being loved, unlike any other apparently human concept or expression of it. Not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one ray that shines forever in the mind of God but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. Sort of like the prodigal son. Once you start for a home, the father comes out to greet you before you've gotten very close. when such great light has joined with you, to give the little spark of your desire the power of God himself, can you remain in darkness? No. So, why doesn't it happen, you say? The simple reason is that you don't take the time to silence human will, and your intents, and your judgments, and your agendas, and your position as director of the play. And so you never truly become quiet enough, and you never arrive at a point where you wish to be silent enough so as not to interfere with the influx of the Father's perspective. You don't have to put forth great effort to make the influx occur. All you have to do is to neglect to want to experience anything else. In other words, arrive at a perfect space of silence. That's when human will is not functioning, will not register with you, and will not distract you from the influx of the Father's perspective that it is your birthright to be experiencing every single moment, because you are his holy son, his holy daughter. My brothers and sisters, you are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey which you undertook apart and which led nowhere. You have found each other. In other words, you have found reason for turning to the Father, not to each other for fulfillment. You have found someone to justify, you each have found someone to justify your turning to the Father to ask what the truth is, so that you might share that with your partner in the holy relationship. You have found each other and will light each other's way. And from this light will the great rays extend back into darkness and forward unto God to shine away the past and your determined use of it in order to be in charge, and so make room for his eternal presence, in which everything is radiant in the light. That's what it's all about. It's really rather simple. Learning to make it simple is what seems complicated. But it is always a matter of engaging in more and more neglect, less and less effort being put forth, more and more defenselessness, so that that which is benign but omnipotent can register with you. Now, we're at a new section in this chapter called the little willingness. This is the simplicity. This is the effortlessness. This is the answer which is so insulting to an aggravated ego. The holy instant is the result of your determination to be holy. When you ask, Father, what is the truth here? You're asking him to tell you of the holiness of you and everything. When you don't know something and you ask to be enlightened, you are asking for one thing, to have your holiness disclosed to you and the holiness of everything else. You may not have thought about it. You may just think you're having a problem and you're asking for help with your problem. But your question has a more infinite context, thank God. The holy instant is the result of your determination to be holy. It is the answer. It's not the question that creates the answer so as to conform with your determinations as to how everything ought to work. It's the answer that you're not expecting. It's the answer that you're not in control of. It's the answer that is the gift of God to you that uncovers what you haven't seen and what you didn't know to look for. The desire and the willingness to let it come precedes its coming. You see, the desire and the willingness to let it come precedes its coming. It doesn't say that the desire and the willingness to let it be what you want it be, what you want it to be, precedes its coming. Absolutely not. That blocks it. That's what you're already experiencing, and that's what you have to abandon. And that's what the little willingness is about. You prepare your minds for it only to the extent of recognizing that you want it above all else. What you value, you will have. What you desire will come to you. And if you desire to not have the truth, you will not have the truth. You will have the untruth. And you will have to cope with it, even though it's just plain old ignorance manipulating your perceptions of the kingdom of heaven. It is not necessary that you do more than want it above all else. It is not necessary that you do more. Indeed, it is necessary that you realize that you cannot do more. That's the insulting part. But that's the blessing. Because when you abandon the desire to do more, then there is nothing present in you blocking the influx of revelation that reveals to you who you really are, what your brother is, and what the universe is. And that will not happen as long as you're attempting to do more than is required. When you are attempting to do that which introduces static, noise, confusion in the threshold of the influx of truth, thus obscuring it from you. Do not attempt to give the Holy Spirit what he does not ask. The Holy Spirit doesn't ask you to tell it what to do. The Holy Spirit doesn't ask you to tell it how the universe works. The Holy Spirit doesn't ask you to tell you how you can change your family members or the company you work for or the political system you're in or the international workings of commerce and trade and involvement as societies. The Holy Spirit doesn't ask for that. The only thing the Holy Spirit asks for is for you to shut up long enough for the Holy Spirit to speak and register with you, because there's enough silence. That is, if you've been willing to be inquisitive. That is, if you're willing to bring your attention there. If you are, you will be rewarded with your wish being fulfilled. Do not attempt to give the Holy Spirit what he does not ask, or you will add the ego unto him and confuse the two. That means it will confuse. You will be confused by the two that you're trying to make work together. And again, it will confuse and block the truth registering with you. He asks but little, the Holy Spirit, that which is nothing more than your right mind. He asks but little. It is he who adds the greatness and the might. He joins with you to make the holy instant far greater than you can understand. Now, if that's the truth, then stop bringing what you think your understanding is into the process. Be humble enough, and I'm going to say practical enough, to ask to know the truth while acknowledging that you don't know what it is. If you are willing to say that you do not have the slightest idea what the truth is and you want to know the truth, I promise you, nothing will be present to block the full influx of what truth is. That's the simplicity of it. That's the blessing of it. And because of it, there's no way for you to inadvertently screw it up. It is your realization that you need do so little that enables him to give so much. Now again, I want to point out to you that you're not alone and you have never been alone. The Holy Spirit, of course, being nothing more than your right mind, held in trust while you dally with the ego, is, you're joined at the hip. You're joined at the being. There's no way for separation to actually have occurred. But also, the Father stands with you because you are his expression. And all of the brotherhood stands with you because we are family. They can't actually be broken apart. And so while you're engaged in all of this, you are supported by that which stands in loving favor of your becoming actually unconfused. Your becoming actually clear right here on planet Earth, and ultimately right there with you wherever you might happen to be in the universe. Trust not your good intentions. Your good intentions are coming from you privately and have arisen out of what you call your experience in the material world and universe as a mortal. That's where your good intentions have come from. An experience of something that I'm telling you doesn't actually exist because you're the Holy Son of God or daughter. Smack dab in the middle. I'm going to say smack dab in the middle of your Father's mind, where your experience of everything that he is being is available to you because you're not interfering with it in any way. Trust not your good intentions. They are not enough. But trust implicitly your willingness. What is willingness? It's you being present with nothing in you to interfere in any way. That's willingness. It's an absolute absence of effort of any kind. That's the simplicity of it. Again, trust not your good intentions. They are not enough. But trust implicitly your willingness. Whatever else may enter is irrelevant. It's going to be a distraction from your willingness, from the silence that you're willing to be in, with your attentiveness directed toward the truth that you've asked to be revealed to you from the Father or from the Holy Spirit. Concentrate only on this, and be not disturbed that shadows surround it. That is why you came. If you could come without them, the shadows, you would not need the holy instant. Come to it not in arrogance, assuming that you must achieve the state its coming brings with it. You see? Simplicity, the absolute absence of effort. The miracle of the holy instant lies in your willingness to what? Let it be what it is. Now you've got to become childlike. You've got to be willing to become curious, to experience what you haven't experienced and what you don't think you know, so that the unknown inspires you with an invigorated involvement with life, because life has a capital L and isn't mortality or a material world and universe, but something far different, where sin, disease, and death are absent. Let it be what it is. And in your willingness for this lies also your acceptance of yourself as you were meant to be. Now, mind you, this all sounds wonderful, and I'm telling you that the holy instant is meant to work. And so this is inevitable. If you'll do the one simple thing of silencing yourself. Silencing who you think you are. Silencing who you have become, who you have come to believe you are. And silencing the character and personality that you've developed based upon who you think you are. So that the gift that goes beyond everything that reveals your holiness to you may register with you, so that you might be in what you thought was a material world and universe as a mortal in a brand new way, where the kingdom of heaven that it is the only thing that confronts you, and your holiness is the quality of being and the actuality of being from which you be in the kingdom of heaven. Between now and the next time we get together, I'm going to invite you all, whoever is listening, to read this section through to the end. The section entitled The Little Willingness. It will make the quality of your week different, and it will lay the groundwork for a fuller understanding of what I'm going to share next time to you. The leading edge, Christmas. The trailing edge, Easter. that's where everyone is. And it makes for interesting times. I love you. I love you all. And I look forward to being with you next time.